What is up, YouTube? My name is Blake Kennedy, and I'm excited to get the Real Carolina Football Show off the ground and running on YouTube for you. My vision for this channel is to reach out to fans and make them feel comfortable criticizing and also being realistic with the expectations that we should all have. I feel like most universities, they have these channels, especially Carolina, that portray the same talking points as what the athletic department wants them to talk about. Me personally, I think this is terrible for sports. We've already seen it pretty much ruin the political system with how much fake news we've realized has been out there. We as fans deserve to know what our team is working on, what our weaknesses are, and to decipher how and address these issues instead of hiding them from us. They act like they're hiding them from other teams, and that is a valid point. You don't want to say that your whole team sucks, but my basis for making this channel is to keep it 100, to vent frustrations, to have fans feel comfortable talking about their team in a way that that how they feel, you know. So many times these days when I watch these channels, creators, or I wouldn't even call them creators, they're really media people that work for the school. They go on to these podcasts, or they go onto their own channel, and they try to create this narrative that someone, maybe a player, is different than what they actually are, you know, and this doesn't set them up for success. It is not the job for the media to instill confidence into individual players and coaches and things like that. Their job is to be unbiased and willing to kind of address the issues that we've seen. This year is a critical year for Carolina football, in the fact that they lost a lot last year, and to overlook that and to act like they're only going to move forward, it's not realistic. For you to come out and say that, oh, this defense is going to be fine, I just can't. I agree that it could be fine later on, but those first 5 games, it's going to look different. Teams are going to score. They're going to run the ball on us a little bit. So how do we confront that? How do the coaches figure out where to put players, who to take out, maybe to switch the scheme? It's an ongoing thing. And to come out against Virginia Tech on the first game and not really be 100% sure of who you are, that's tough. It's really tough to do that. And I can say that the worst thing about this staff, and it's been a great staff. It's been my favorite staff since the Spurrier era. And I might like this one a little bit more as far as what they've had to accomplish, and probably been a harder road than what Spurrier had. But the hardest thing that they've had trouble with is starting strong. They really have trouble assessing their team throughout camp. And that does worry me, because every time Beamer comes onto the press conferences, he complains about not having a preseason game. Well, it's been like that forever. We've never had preseason games. It's about getting your guys ready and understanding what they're good at and challenging them throughout camp. not just putting a scout team out there to run base plays with pretty much garbage out there. No, we got to go ones on ones consistently every week, multiple times a week in practice, full go, to really get a feel for how this team is going to move, how fast it's going to be, how physical it's going to be. These things have to be researched in camp. You cannot just run past Skelly for most of the day and inside run on the other end of the field and not go ones-on-ones. We have got to see Jair Johnson run to the football and tackle and show up. And we've got to see Brownlow Dindy get off blocks inside. Can he defeat Trayvon Ball? Can Trayvon Ball whip him inside? They've really got to figure out what their weaknesses are so that in that game they can combat them and they can lean towards their strengths and use their strengths to cover up their weaknesses. We need ultimate transparency. And the more you have that, the more realistic the expectations can be, the more time you can get as a head coach to combat these issues. Because if you're up front with them and you're not telling us that, oh, everything's okay, we have a guy, and I'll go back to 2023 when everybody knew that Stone Blanton couldn't play. Literally everybody. But for some reason, every press conference, every coach, every media member was saying, man, Stone looks good. He's moving fast, blah, 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 blah. He could not move. These are the things that get the fan base frustrated. Those are not being transparent. If you couldn't tell he couldn't run, and maybe it was because, we put a fifth-year quarterback at running back and told you guys that it was going to be a good move, that he was looking great out there. He was the best running back on the team. When he gained way too much weight, he couldn't move, had no juice, he was awful at running back. They had me convinced that De'Kerion Joyner, who I love, who was one of my favorite players on the team for 3-4 years, I thought he should have been the starting quarterback his last 2 or 3 years, that he was going to come in and he was going to dominate the backfield. When you actually had a transfer that came in, Mario Anderson, you didn't realize that he was the guy until game 5. These are the things that are hard to get over as fans. And I know I'm going back 2 years. I think Beamer and you guys are doing a great job, but this is one thing that will get you in the doghouse with fans and not being realistic about the expectations that you can potentially meet. Honestly, I think that you guys, whenever things get pushed up and you get expectations, like there was in 2023, like there is right now. I mean, how many people got us in the playoff? We're ranked 13th. That's high. That's one of the highest rankings we've had in, 10, 15 years? 13. There's only 12 teams in the playoff. They're saying we're going to make it. You guys have got to dial down the expectations. Whenever you get into this realm of we're a 10-win team, when we didn't win 10 games last year, You lost to Illinois in the bowl game, and you got outcoached. I hated it. I thought Bielema was being just wrong with how he was approaching those injuries and all that stuff. But he outcoached you, and it hurt your feelings. We've got to be stronger, and we've got to be more upfront and more transparent with our players, with our fans, with our coaches, with the media. Because I'm telling you, if you don't start this season at minimum 4-1, it could be disastrous. It really could. You are looking at a team, if they start 3-2, the wheels could fall off. The wheels could fall off because your schedule gets way harder, which was an opposite effect as it was last year. Let's be honest. It was hard early. You took your nicks and bruises. You showed that you had a good team, and that defense was special. And I can't look at this defense and say, "Oh, for sure they're gonna take a step forward." That's not realistic for you to say that this defense is going to be better than last year's. There's no possible way. Look, I like the guys on the team. I think Jair is going to be a good player. But guess what? Those first 3 games, everything's going to be moving way faster than he thought. What did Sellers say after the Old Dominion game? It's much harder than I thought. That's exactly what he said. And that's how it is for everyone. The game flies by for these guys, especially the young ones. So how do you taper that? How do you harness those expectations? And you say, how do you prepare these players to not get ahead of themselves? Because they are. I can just tell you, I can see it the whole way through. And I hope we get out of that game against Virginia Tech. I hope Sellers just, takes over the game. We run the ball. Everything's fine. Your defense, they run it a little bit, but the defense makes a couple plays in the third quarter, and we pull it out by a couple touchdowns. I hope that's what happens. But you guys are setting this thing up. I mean, y'all are on the ceiling. And it's raining. And I don't know if it's going to hold. Y'all are putting too much pressure on these kids. I think that Carolina has some really, really, really talented players this year. I think that we have more talent on this team than we did last year on last year's team. That doesn't mean that we're going to be better, that they're going to be as consistent. Clayton White loved that defense he had last year because he had pieces. He had individuals that knew roles. We got to establish roles. We got to figure out what these guys can do in those roles. How do we do that? Well, you go one-on-ones in practice all fall camp. And you don't say, well, we just don't want to get Jair hurt because we don't have anybody behind him. We don't want to get Okwanu or Sean Murphy. These guys, they haven't done shit, dude. They got to get out there and they got to lick somebody. Because if they don't against Virginia Tech, it's going to be, y'all remember what happened in 2014 when we had the whole world watching us against A&M. And they came out and we made, what was his name? Kenny Hill. We made him Kenny Trill or whatever the fuck we called him. That dude was ass. He threw for 500 yards on us because we had too much expectations for these kids that were out there. I think we're a different football team. I'm not saying that that is what I think's going to happen, but I can see it. I can see how much pressure that they don't even realize they have, because they're walking around and everybody's telling them how freaking good they are, right? They're talking about us. I mean, we are already the Cinderella story. No, that's not what happens. Usually the Cinderella story, nobody freaking knows about. Y'all got us as top dogs. And Carolina hasn't been a top dog in a long time. And Beamer has shown that when he gets in a new situation, when he gets a feeling that he hasn't felt before, sometimes he doesn't know how to handle it. Now, Shane, if you ever see this, whatever, if people are going to give me a hard time about this, I believe in you. I think you've done a great job. The best thing that you've done was hire good coaches. You haven't taken a ton of money and you've put it into your coaching staff. I appreciate that, because we have to have that at Carolina. And you have to have that because you are not a specialist other than special teams. So you are a specialist, I should say. But as far as offensive defense, you're not a mastermind, and that's okay. I've never thought that it has to be like you have to be great at one part of the game. I think it's beneficial, but if you look at those kind of coaches, typically the other side of the ball suffers. I believe in this team. I do. But when I look at 13 and I look at the first 5 games, if you don't go 4-1, it could be a tough year. I think 7 wins is the floor. Let me just say that. But I don't think 7 wins is very hard for us to... I think 7 wins is the highest probability from our schedule of this team. Could we get to 8? Yes, very, very easily. But people are whispering 10. And some of them are yelling 10. That is what scares me. Because last year we snuck up on a couple teams. But this year you won't. You're going to get everybody's best shot. And guess what? They got a whole year of tape for Sellers. And nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about how great Sellers is. We've realized that Sellers is great against the blitz. He shakes defenders off. They get to him, no problem. He breaks out. There's nobody behind it because they brought everybody. Other guys are in man coverage. He's got room to run. What happened in that Illinois game? Go back and watch that game and watch how often they drop into a zone. They give him the Lamar Jackson treatment. Nobody rushes up the field. They keep him in the pocket, and they force him to throw the check down. And he waits, and he waits, and he waits for somebody to break open. Nobody breaks open. He checks it down. Bang! Running back's finished with a 2-yard gain. It happened the whole game. And if you look at his stats, they weren't that bad because he kept checking the ball down. He didn't force it, which I appreciate. But these are the next steps that he has to take, because he's going to see that treatment in every single game next year. They are going to sit back. They are going to watch him stand in the pocket, and they're going to say, you throw it to the tight end or you throw it to the running back the whole game. You can't do it. That's what they're going to say to him. And if we can't run the ball with our running backs, it's going to be tough, man. That's what Illinois did to us. They put us in a box, let us throw the check down, and then they hammered our running backs that really aren't that good. These are the things that I'm trying to share with the public that nobody else is saying, because they want to believe that we have almost like a conveyor belt of freaks. And we do have some freaky players on our team, but we got a lot of unproven players. And we have one unproven coach. We got two, actually. Mike Shula's unproven. I'd feel a lot better if Dow Loggins was the offensive coordinator. We saw in the Illinois game. So on this channel, I am going to open up about all my feelings about Carolina football and the mistakes and the great things that they have done and continue to do. Their energy level in that building is second to none. It's special to watch. The emotion that Carolina football embodies through Coach Beamer, and it starts with him and the way he wears his heart on his sleeve, you can't help but root for him. It's just one of those teams where everybody likes us. We got a cool quarterback, super nice guy, can run, can throw, big. The ceiling is so high. But football's not won like that. Football's won in strategy. Football's won in consistency. We got to stop fumbling the ball. We got to stop throwing picks. We got to continue to get interceptions and cause fumbles on defense. And continue to pressure the quarterback and find a way to stop the run with a young interior defense. I believe in this team. But they can't listen to anybody else. They got to listen to me. They got to listen to what I'm saying. They got to stop listening to these PR people that literally gas them up for taking a piss. There's some good fucking players out there, guys. Virginia Tech's got some guys. They can run. They can throw. They can hit. If you don't come out ready to play right away, it can get away from you. If you have a lackluster start like you did last year, you're not getting it back because that schedule gets harder. It's not getting easier. This is Carolina football's reality check, because this is the real Carolina football show. I'm going to get started here with this first video, and I'm going to keep coming at you with videos establishing why Carolina needs to be on guard and make sure that they're not listening to this outside hype, because it's setting us up for a letdown. Be ready. Be on point. I'm your biggest fan. I've been a Carolina fan since I was born. My dad went to Carolina. My dad went to Burns High School. His dad went to Burns High School. My other grandfather went to Greenwood High School on my mom's side. I love Carolina football. It's my favorite thing in the world besides my kids and my wife, who I'm blessed to have. And I can't wait to watch this season. This is my first video. And I'm going to keep putting these videos out every day until we get started and we really know who we are. Because I'm going to tell you, Beamer has trouble assessing who he is. Not who he is, but who his team is and what they're capable of. And that first game is always tricky for him. So I'm signing off here. I expect to make another video tomorrow. I'm going to post this one, and I hope you like it. Please subscribe if you can. Like and subscribe. Whatever the content people say, I am not a trained professional in this field. So any feedback I can have for the substance of these discussions, I would really appreciate it because I really like to keep doing this.